Hey, everybody. Welcome to my world. How's your world going? Has it been as crazy as mine? Boy, can I tell you some stuff about this weekend? Oh, it'd make your hair curl. Even a bald headed guy's hair curl. Mine did. Anyhow, what else is going on? Oh, yeah. We've got guests tonight, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about too. But before we get going on this whole thing, we have to do a disclaimer. But welcome to my world. Live, laugh, and whatever. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, financial, or investment advice. Take what we say with a big grain of salt and always do your own due diligence. We're not responsible for and expressly disclaim all liability for damages of any kind arising out of use, reference to, or reliance on any information contained in this broadcast. Any persons or characters mentioned are, for the most part, fictional or as close to it as we can get. So sit back, relax, and chill out. Did you bring your drinks? How about your snacks? Are you relaxed? I know our guests are saying, hey, I've got my drink. Well, I have mine too. And hey, tell your friends about the show because they might have some fun here. I know we do, and we talk a lot about a lot of different subjects too. Hey, I've got to do some shout outs here because if I don't, then maybe the big boss will get a little anxious. So let's see if we can get that taken care of here real quick. And we need to talk about the Trim Radio Network. And if we don't, yeah, the boss will get a little bit upset, I guess. Anyhow, we have a different change here, and our magic button came back. Oh my goodness. Somebody's been working at redoing our web page. But anyhow, this is the Trim Radio Network, and our leadership, if you want to click on that, is, guess what? They're not showing, but they are now. The Fab Four, Michael Bejas, the CEO and founder, Bruscala Stefan, the Chief Operating Officer and Computer Guru. I mean, that guy's good, trust me. And then we have the Chief Relationship Officer. I still don't know what that is. I mean, they list me as responsible for building and maintaining the foundational trust and goodwill necessary for long-term success. That's a mouthful. I don't even know that I do that. Hopefully I provide good information and I make people happy. And that's the key goal in life here, especially during everything going on right now. Anyhow, then we have Victoria Smith, and good old Victoria Smith. Oh yeah, she's the Chief Marketing Officer. She's responsible for all marketing activities, brand development, audience growth, and creator acquisition strategies. That's a mouthful too. And I'll tell you what, if you have any club, company, side hustle business, whatever, and you need marketing advice, get a hold of Victoria Smith. I mean, she has a show every Thursday. You can also check it on in the archives. She does a fantastic job, and she provides a lot of good advice. So you have to check her out. So you definitely want to do that. I'm trying things a little bit differently here, and you can see that. Our shows that we have, and I'm bringing those up, and I may not do this format next time, but I'm running into an issue where I have something where I have too much on the screen, and as a result, it slows things down. So I'm going to have to reinvent the wheel, I guess. But anyhow, our shows, we've got Money and Change every Sunday at 7 p.m. And those are generally live unless I have a concert to play. And I've got 6 concerts this year. And so during that time, you'll be given an encore edition, better known as a rerun. Okay. And you can check it out on our Facebook page for Money and Change. Also, we have Life Walk with Christ God with Michael Bejas. He was just on at 7 p.m. And then My World, Live, Laugh, and Whatever is every Wednesday live right here on the Trim Radio Network. And then we also have the Natural Marketer Podcast every Thursday with Victoria Smith. We have Offsides Top 25 College Football Thursdays at 7. I don't know what they're talking about now, but you want to check into it. We have the Positude podcast, and that's going to be every Friday at 8 p.m. We have Adventure Awaits Around the Bend, and that's a podcast at 1 p.m. We have Ranch It Up with Tigger and Beck on the same day on Saturday. They come on at 1:30, 8:30. Oh no, 1:30, 1:30. And then Saturday nights we have Risk Stefan with his Red Pill reality show and his guests and his monologue and whatever. And he's on from 9 p.m. until midnight. And I've been on the show before, and I've had some fun with him. And he does a very good show. Trust me. And we have Mr. Kling. Peter Kling has his show, Revelation. He's on Thursdays. And we have Dora Sherry at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays. And it's Let's Talk About It with Dora Sherry. You have to check her show out. Very good show. We still have more spots to fill, and we hope that you will join us for your own show. It's very easy to do. Very easy, very, very easy to do. All you have to do is click on the red dot if it's here. If it's not, you hit on the contact us, and we'll go from there. Anyhow, you put in your name, your phone number, and say, I want to know more about doing my own show on the Trim Radio Network. How can I get started? What equipment does it take? What can I do? It's got to be a clean show. No swearing, no cussing, no fighting, or, that type of stuff. Anyhow, it's easy. Just contact us. Let us know. If you want to join up with my Money and Change group, send us a notification. If you want to check us out on My World, send us a notice. Okay, just put your information in there and send it to us. It's very easy to do. And somebody is going to get back to you very quickly. Okay. Wow. What else is going on? So much for the shows. Oh, yeah. In order to keep us on the air, well, you have to do a couple of things. Please buy the merchandise. All you have to do is click on the Shop Now button, and we've got all kinds of stuff. And I've shown them before. I've shown the T-shirts. I've shown the hats. I've shown the mugs. I've shown the Money and Change shirts, the Money and Change travel mugs with lids. And the Offsides College Football Top 25 Premium Piquet polo shirts I've seen, T-shirts, and more. We just have to wait for the screen to change. This isn't the fastest changing screen ever. We've got kids' T-shirts too. We've got other mugs. We've even got that round mouse pad where you can't corner your mouse. Anyhow, we've got the dad's hat. We've got the beanies. We've got the ceramic ornaments, the danglers. We've got those ear pod cases. So you buy the ear pods and then buy the cases from us so you don't lose your ear pods, okay? Unless you're going to have them stapled to your ears. Anyhow, whoa, so much for all that on the Trim Radio Network. Now, hey, if you want to help us out, buy the merchandise or donate or advertise. And yes, you can advertise on the Trim Radio Network. It's very easy to do. You want to contact Michael Bayhouse or you want to contact Victoria Smith by hitting that red button and say, hey, how can I advertise on your network? It's very easy to do. We have very reasonable prices. I mean, reasonable prices. So you want to check into that, okay? Airtime is not cheap. Trust me. Airtime is not cheap. And so we all, pitch in on the airtime. And we need some help. So if you can donate, hey, that's great. That's fantastic, because all the stuff that we get sending in for merchandise revenues or donations or whatever goes into buying airtime. And like I said, airtime is not cheap. It is not. Now, some people say, well, hey, where are you guys? Well, basically, the show's coming out of Irmo, South Carolina. Well, where the heck is Irmo? Well, it's close to Columbia, South Carolina. It's a suburb. And you can contact us by phone at 803-303-8667. That's 803-303-8667. Or you can contact us at trimcreators@gmail.com. That's trimcreators@gmail.com. So that's how you get a hold of us, okay? What else is going on? Oh, my Facebook page. Yeah, that almost looks like me, kind of, sort of. I don't know, maybe the head glare. I don't know. Why is this I have to wear a wig? Nah, that'd be too warm. Anyhow, usually I put things on the page that are relevant for what we're talking about on the show, except for tonight. It's April Fool's. Nobody pulled really any pranks on me today, except for one. I think my prank happened on, I think it actually happened on Saturday. I went out with a friend. We went out to get something to eat. I thought, we'll just check it out. And so we drove up to the lake. And the lake I'm talking about is Grand Lake at St. Mary's. And I thought, okay, we'll just do that. And we'll find something to eat. And then I got to get back. And all of a sudden, we found a place, hadn't been there in years, went in, got something to eat. Next thing you know, we returned home, and 12 hours later, I had food poisoning, so I couldn't do a show Sunday. I felt like I was turning green. And so I weathered the storm, took a lot of electrolyte drinks. And one of them was, I believe it was Dr. Price's. It's a powder, and you mix it with water. Well, anyhow, it worked a little bit. Then Sunday was a bad day. And then Monday was a little bit better day, but I couldn't make meetings. I had to cancel 2 meetings. And then Tuesday, I did something that a lot of people don't do. I called the health department because both my friend and I both got sick. And anything more than one occurrence is an outbreak. Why? I used to do health inspections. I know this stuff. And I talked to this sweet lady at the Mercer County Health Department. And she said, I'll take your name and number and we'll get back with you. Well, so far it's Wednesday and nobody said anything. So hopefully they have done a very thorough inspection on the place that I ate that I will never eat at again. So there. So that's been my exciting times, a lot of stuff that's been going on lately. I mean, we have, I believe Passover is today. We had a rocket launch today to the moon. And a lot of stuff going on. And it's been a little crazy. Even for my first time out, I had to go pick up my taxes. I had an accountant do my taxes. And that was my first time out. And I'll tell you what, it felt great to get. I was a little cold, but that's the way it was. I got my taxes, and the preparer showed everything and so forth, and I started to cry on the spot. Well, anyhow, that's every year at this time for everybody, let's face it. So that's what was going on. A big shout out to the Trim Radio Network for carrying the show, and everybody that's associated with the show, and all the guests, because we have all kinds of different guests. And I have 2 tonight. And so we'll get into that in just a minute. But I hope that you have a really good rest of the week, because I'll tell you what, the weather is going to get nasty from what I've been hearing. And I heard up in Toledo, they had some flooding up in Toledo. Around here, I think we call it toodly-doo. But anyhow, they had flooding up there. And that was one thing that was going on. Let's see what else was going on. Well, it was a mess. I'll put it that way. We've had some winds and no tornadoes around here in the middle part of Ohio, midwestern part of Ohio. But today being April Fool's, I'm getting online. I'm looking for different things, and gee whiz, I saw this about the University of Findlay. And you know that I always talk about the University of Findlay. And what's going on with the arch? By God, they're moving the arch. Well, let's see what it is.
I am happy to announce today a new plan for our arch. A groundbreaking grassroots efforts to revamp our arch. We are moving it to the green space near CBSL.
You know, traditions come and go. And so this one might just, have a change, but I think this one will grow on people.
After much discussion and consideration, we've come to the decision that this will be the perfect spot for it, for your generation of students and many generations to come.
I'm thinking somewhere about right here.
Students tend to miss the arch so much where it's placed right now. So just moving it to the CBSL lawn is just going to set them up for success and expose them to it a whole lot more.
We're doing what?
There's plans to move the arch across campus.
No, there's no way.
We're moving the arch.
We did have a few folks that didn't like it. Of course, anytime something new comes out, there's always going to be a few people that like it the old way. But, I always say you can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs.
I just think it's so unnecessary, and it's such a good tradition.
The arch?
Yeah, the Griffin Memorial Arch.
Oh, the thing up front. The thing up front. Front. Yeah, I can move. I mean, it's fine. Is it important? It is going to be decked out like nobody would ever believe.
We'll be walking through grass. What's great about that? Everything.
We're really excited.
I know that you all are concerned about this, but guess what? April Fools.
Honey, you've been playing. No, I don't want him to take it. No.
Well, I've been played. And I'll tell you what, I saw that today, and yeah, I was played. It was to the point where it was kind of a shocker because you enter the school through that arch.
Way to shrink your prostate.
I don't want to shrink my prostate. What the heck is going on here? What in the world is going on?
Nope.
Shut up.
Actually works.
I'll tell you what works. Hitting the button to turn you off. My God, I'm not doing commercials here for that. Hey, it must be April Fool's. It always happens. Anyhow, guys, yeah, I got played on that one on the arch, and that was a strange thing that was happening. Oh, what a week. Anyhow, I've got two guests today. I've got Barry and I've got Quentin, and we all have something in common. We really do. And some of that happens to do with what's going on with data centers. Some of it has to do with a little shenanigans, maybe with council meetings and let's see, what do they call that? The sunshine law and other little provisions. I know, I see Barry, he's smiling right now. So anyhow, I'm going to bring them on and we're going to do a lot of talking about that. We'll put some stuff on in the background so you can see what's going on. First, here's Barry Blankenship, and he's in Trenton. And here's Quentin, better known as Santa. Actually, that's Quentin Kidd, and he's from Wilmington.
And my April Fool's joke last year was posted a picture of me without a beard, and I commented, "It'll grow back by Christmas."
Well, hey, that's good. I couldn't do that. There's no way I could do that.
Me either.
No, it just doesn't happen. Well, hey guys, a couple of things. I'm going to see if I can do this on the screen. Let's see if we can do it. Because I keep making last minute changes, and when I do that, I get things like proctology, proctology world, I guess. I saw this today. Everything that's free is paid for by somebody who works. I thought that was pretty accurate with some of my discussions at Friends at Lunch. But anyhow, we're talking about that. And, I don't know about you guys. You're kind of in the weather problem for the southern part of Ohio. And right here, we've got just a general overview map of Wonder Map. And it's the weather underground is what they call it. And you can tighten down on this and actually check your area out. And you just type in wonderground.com. But the word is that we're going to be having some pretty nasty storms the rest of this week. And Good Friday could be a rough Friday. So what we have to worry about is everything out here. And I watched this practically every day, at least 3 times a day, to find out what's going on.
Excuse me.
And so my big thing is be safe. I'm not going to talk too much about GMRS radios because I've talked about them so many times before. But if you want to look into buying a GMRS radio, which is good for emergency communications, you can do that at this location. It's buytwowayradios.com. They have a lot of different types of radios, and they've got PTT radios that run on cell towers and all kinds of stuff. And this is where I usually get my radios. I have a few of the GMRS radios. It comes in handy in an emergency. It's only $35 for 10-year license with the Federal Communications Commission, and you don't have to take a test for it. Another place to go, take a look at flood safety with the American Red Cross, redcross.org. Okay, so that's coming up this week. So I'll put a link on our webpage for that Buy Two-Way Radios. I don't get paid for mentioning their name or anything. It's just I found them to be very reputable and pretty good. And the prices are reasonable. And they don't have a lot of cheap radios either. No blister packs. We were going to talk about Quentin's recent post. I saw this. I thought it was fantastic. I sent it to a couple people, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
Well, that's good.
It's a public page. Anything's available to share.
Well, that's good. But I saw this and I thought there might be some people locally that might want to review this page because it was so good. It was so good. I thought, well, man, I'll tell you what. Kim might like that. You know who Kim is.
Yes.
And I thought, yeah, she could do that. I was at a meeting yesterday with Kim, and she likes to sit in our energy board meetings. And we talk about energy and utilities for the city of Piqua. And I've been on that board for years. And she comes in and she's trying to learn as much as she can about how the utility system works. And it's great to have her. I'd love to have more people in there listening. But you came up with this list. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Let me see. I can't quite see it. Let me see.
It's the one that you sent.
Okay. Oh, yeah. This was related to a post, to an article that Sue Krotweiler had shared. And, as we have all of these different data center groups, there's an underlying theme that, hey, they're operating from a playbook. All right, this talks about what that playbook is. And it's the article was written by a couple of attorneys who are with Flores, and I can't remember the whole long name, who happen to be the attorneys for the Port Authority here in Wilmington.
Are you sure they weren't part of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe?
Well, I've had a couple of comments along those lines that they were, but I don't know if Barry has looked at it, but he could I know some of the other people who are involved with the data centers things have looked at it. And this is exactly what happens with a data center when it's first, it's a sparkle in someone's eye, is how do they manipulate the system to keep the public from finding out what's going on? And the article that I shared, well, it was written by attorneys for data centers on telling them how to do it. Now, what's interesting about this that I found is they were the attorney for the Port Authority. The Port Authority is a public body. They are, as a public body, the attorney is supposed to represent the public. And, what they're writing, may not be against the code of professional ethics, but it's right up there against the border.
I'll see if I'll see if I can get this to where we can see it, but I don't think I can. I can probably read them off if you want.
Yeah, go ahead and read them off. I can't see it. I'm on my phone.
Well, and I'm looking at a shrunken screen, so that gives me a problem. Let's see here if I can get that. I got to switch back here.
While you're doing that, speaking of port authorities, the city of Trenton bypassed the port authority here in Butler County to get the deal done quicker and out of the hands of people that would have a longer way to go for the data center to get here. So each county and each city seems to be running a different operation, but off the same playbook to get things done.
Yeah, here in Wilmington, the city has a contract with the Port Authority for the Port Authority to serve as their economic developer for that. So they're in essence the agent for the city.
I was gonna do that, but something funny came up about somebody sleeping on an airplane. And the problem I've got with Facebook, I get everything set up and then it decides, okay, we'll move on to something.
Oh,
different.
I know that's terrible. I'll start writing something and flip over to look over something, and what I've started writing has disappeared.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to where I'll write it in Word and polish it there, and then just cut and paste it.
Okay, guys, I'm just going to do this. I brought it up on another browser I've got.
Okay.
And I can post it later. But anyhow, here's the playbook. Avoid creating public records. Control what gets put in writing. Use intermediaries to limit disclosure. Keep sensitive details out of public view. Now let's look at what's happening in Wilmington. Key details aren't being shared. Information is proprietary. The public should trust the process without seeing the numbers. Some playbooks, same results. Then it has incomplete answers. When they're asking questions, give incomplete answers. Missing documentation. Oh, we don't have it. Oh, we must have misplaced it. Critical data kept just out of reach. Well, we'll get back with you on that. Decisions continuing to move forward anyway. Let's tighten the lens. This isn't a private transaction. And this involves public infrastructure, public resources, long-term community impact, and decisions being made by public bodies. And that's what was written there. And it goes on to say, get this, the firm advising that public body is openly discussing methods to limit what becomes public in the first place. No one is confused about what's happening here. You don't need a law degree to recognize the pattern. If you control what gets documented, you control what can be requested. If you control what can be requested, you can control what the public can see. And if the public can't see it, they can't meaningfully question it. That's not transparency with guardrails. That's a managed information environment. And Ohio public law was written specifically to prevent this dynamic. Public records are public. That's the Ohio Revised Code, ORC 149.43. And decisions must be made in the open, which is ORC 121.22. And NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, don't override those obligations. So when the answers to the basic questions, water usage, power demand, tax structure, keep coming back as we can share that, that's not a technical limitation. That's a choice, and it's a choice that deserves scrutiny. If the deal works, put it on the record. If the numbers make sense, let the people see them. If the benefits are real, they should hold up to the daylight. Because when the process depends on limiting what the public can access, you don't have a transparency problem. You have a trust problem. And that's it in a short.
You know, Stu, ever since I've been dealing with governance issues here in Wilmington for a couple of years now. And since the data center issue has percolated up to the top, it's just a continuation of issues that have been going on in Wilmington, I know, for a number of years, where they just don't want the public to know exactly what they're doing, or at least that's the appearance that they give. And as you were going through the list, I was remembering specific instances of this. One of the people who's working on the data center issue sent in a public request yesterday, got a note back today, said the request is overly broad, which, yeah, that's what they say. If you're trying to identify the universe of what's out there, you're asking for too much information. And then if you're narrowing it down and being more detailed, they'll come back to you and tell you your information is too detailed. They always have an answer. Regarding the NDAs, I had a whistleblower tell me April of last year that there were NDAs being assigned within the city of Wilmington. So I put in a public record request. And that was in May. I didn't get an answer until September. And the answer was, we don't file anything under NDAs. We don't have any. That was just a flat lie. I mean, it was just a flat lie. And eventually I did get 18 out of the 20 expected ones, and still haven't gotten 2 that I think that are out there. And there are some issues with those as well. What Barry's facing over in Trenton, is dealing with rezone, a change to the overall city code that happened and didn't really get a lot of public input on that. So they don't go out and actively try to get insight from people who are in the community so they could build a consensus around these things. Personally, I'm not opposed to data centers. What I'm opposed to is poor land use planning that's taking place in behind the scenes. That's not transparent, and that is not accountable.
I would agree with Quinn.
Well, Barry, I was going to come to you next, because I'll tell you what, you showed a video of a planning commission meeting, if I remember right.
Yes, I did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
We had a planning commission meeting that was supposed to be a review. If you go to one site on the city's webpage, it said it started at 6. Another site said it started at 7. So I sent an email to the mayor to the chair of the planning committee, 4 different news agencies, and the attorney general, and mentioned the differences of everything that was going on, what the differences in times, because they didn't give us 24 hours to correct the time. So they still had the meeting. I went up to the city hall that morning about 10 o'clock to where I knew they couldn't change it in 24 hours. And now I'm getting ready to send another email back to the attorney general and let them know that they had the meeting and that a review turned into a vote, which started at 6 p.m. and ended at 6:10 p.m., 10 minutes, with very little information about the review of the site plan.
Well, besides that, they didn't allow for public participation, did they?
No public participation allowed whatsoever. And we had people from other groups. We had people from other cities. We had the news there and had it all captured.
You know,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the city of Wilmington, Jessica Sharp, headed this up, where we were facing a similar situation with our planning commission, where they were supposed to be doing a site plan review, and the very last item said take action. Now, they didn't allow public comment, and they told her verbally that, no, we're not going to take action. This is just a review. But Jessica had foresight to go file a TRO, temporary restraining order, that prevented them from taking action at that meeting.
I know she was planning on it, and then I saw it was posted on Facebook that the TRO was granted.
So they filed for the TRO, but what they ended up doing was a negotiated settlement where they agreed for future site plan discussions, they would provide at least 3 days notice, including directly to her attorney. Now, Jessica, I'm 2 miles from the data center site. I'm going to be caught up in some traffic that's going to be related to the construction of it, probably at the outer edge of the band on the low frequency noise. Jessica's home, her brand new home that she just bought July, August of last year, her back door is 55 foot from the project site property line. She has a whole much more skin in the game than I do. And she's among several people in that area where they went against the comprehensive plan and put in light industrial right next to residential. An example of poor land use planning.
Well, and you take a look at that with that type of planning, and she built a house right there, purchased it. It's 55 feet from the proposed data center. Is she going to be able to say, well, the heck with that, I'm going to move? She won't be able to sell her house, will she?
I think they're expecting to take a hit on the property value. I think I'm not an attorney, so I'm using common sense would say that the company that sold her their house and did not disclose this to her might have some liability around that issue, particularly since they got notice that they were one of the property owners that were notified that the changes were coming, that the zoning was changing, that the annexation was changing.
What do you think, Barry?
I think Clinton is right in some aspects. He's out 2 miles. I think here, if people were out about 2 miles, they would be more accepting at the center. But like my house, I'm 0.6 of a mile from the data center. We have a school 0.7 of a mile from a data center. We don't have we don't have any homes as close as Jessica's, but we do have homes within 700 feet. But my personal thought is if data centers are going to have to come in, they should have at least a mile buffer from anything before they can build. Because the way I see it is we're always putting down China that we're better than they are. But when China builds a data center this big, they get it away from people at least 6 kilometers away, which I don't know exactly the measurement of 6 kilometers, but I know it's more than a mile. and they do that to protect their people. So I think with the United States and our 5,400 plus what they're trying to build in China's 400, they could do a lot better job here to get them away from civilization, get them away from schools and businesses to where they can still have their data center, but people can still have their safety and their privacy.
Well, like here in Piqua, the south end of town going towards Troy, that's where the new data centers are going to be. And right now they said that there are 2 that are proposed. They didn't say what the power requirements would be, how many megawatts each one was going to be. However, to the southern part of Piqua, now they're building more homes and going towards the data center. And my calculations would be the data center is about a mile from those homes. And then there was another proposal, I don't know where it's at, that's for the northern part of the city, out on the western side. They were going to build 400 homes with 200 apartments or condos. And I'm thinking, okay, that's neat to grow that way. We can always supply the water. We don't have any problems with supplying water and power because we're on city power and we're not associated with AES. And our power crew is fantastic. If you have an outage, your outage is going to be fixed in 20 minutes. And they're very good at what they do. And all of our hardware is relatively new. They've upgraded over the years like you wouldn't believe, where AES hasn't. Our power plant, we buy our power. We don't manufacture any, but we do have a couple of turbines to supplement it. And then also with the water end of it, we have a relatively new water plant that can basically treat up to 6 million gallons of water a day. But it's nowhere near that. The city of Piqua uses about 2 million gallons of water per day. Now, the sewage plant has been upgraded over the past 5 or 6 years, and it's got a fantastic capacity. And it's much so that we're actually treating sewage from other locations through our plant before it goes into the Great Miami River. So handling a data center with the water requirements and the sewage treatment requirements won't be a problem. And it will be some income for the city for the construction power. Now, once the construction is done, AES supplies the power to the data centers. So what worries me is hydrostatic pressure on the ground from overbuilding because you have farmland. And I have a friend of mine that's out on the western side of Piqua, about 1.5 miles, 2 miles from me. And she has a small farm. The water table is only 10 feet down. And by building those 400 new homes, the water table is going to change and people are going to have to start using 24-hour sump pumps to keep the basements dry. And she knows a little bit about it, and she's been working on her PhD at Ohio University in public administration. I mean, she's really sharp. I've had her on the show a couple of times. And anyhow, that's what's going on with us up here. And so with the data center, yeah, people in the south end of town, with the new homes that are being constructed, hopefully they're not affected by the data center, but more homes are being built that way. And more homes are being built to the north, coming up from the north towards that data center from Troy. And so that's going to be a problem sooner or later. So that's what's going on here. And then you talk about public trust and the playbook that we read off and so forth. The city commission hasn't done anything, and the city manager said, I'm retiring at the end of 35 years of work. And the scuttle around here is what's going to happen is the city commission is going to turn around and rehire him at a higher fee. And we've had a lot of problems during his tenure. And if that happens, how do you control that? And some people are saying we're going to have to change the city charter, whatever. But we've got our own problems. You guys have your problems. It's total insanity. And Sydney even has their problems to the
Yes,
north.
they do. Kristen's got problems up there big time.
Oh, yeah.
And Stu, but the playbook, we talk about the playbook, and that's the first time I've actually seen something in writing. Every single city in Ohio that is facing the data center is facing these exact same issues around the lack of transparency.
Yes, we are.
And this is part of why you're seeing a push from some of the state legislature to ban NDAs. 6 months ago, I probably wouldn't have been as upset about NDAs and recognizing the need, but the pendulum has swung so far that they're using them to conceal information the public needs to know.
If I can sneak in real quick and
Yeah,
say
go
a
ahead.
couple things. Speaking on power, we're upgrading our substation here in Trenton on the Prologis property, mind you, of 800 megawatts. But Prologis is telling the city that they only need 250 megawatts. So what are they going to do with the other 550 megawatts that they're going to control on their property behind their fence?
It's easy. Add more data centers.
Exactly. On another note, you were talking about water infrastructure, things like that. The city says that they're being promised a $3.1 million tap-in fee to pay for infrastructures, upgrades, etc., and that they're going to make $120,000 a year on sales of water and sewage. Yet at the same time, we're $7.5 million in debt for a water tower that's going to go right beside the data center. We're getting ready to dig a well and put in a new wellhead, which is going to be another expense, plus the land they purchased. And then also with their sewage, we have Butler County treated, so we've got to pay Butler County to treat our water. And at the same time, we've got to have chemicals to treat our drinking water. So where does $3.1 million plus $120,000 going to be a benefit to the citizens of Trenton when we're in debt and everything is going to cost us to get water to their facility?
Well, and it's like that here because we have to run water, a new water line down to the facility, plus gas lines, plus another water tower, which means now Pickle will have 4 water towers, and the new one is going to be within, I think it's about a mile from the data center. And all the requirements, does the city make any money? Not really. I mean, when you look at it, yeah, we're selling utility stuff to the data center, and the schools might get a little bit of a kickback, but what does it really do for the city? Nothing.
Nothing.
And so I think Governor DeWine was probably a little bit off on doing data centers. And I know that Jessica and up in Sydney, last name of Allen.
Kristen Allen.
Kristen, yes, Kristen. They're looking at one heck of a mess. And I know that there's a drive out there to sign petitions to do things. And a lot of legislators are looking at asking for a cessation or a pause so they can research everything. But yet here, everything's being sold right now. It's like, who's controlling the show here? You know, do the citizens control the show or the big interests control the show?
When our legislatures have to sit in Columbus and create a bill to tell humans that they can't marry AI, we know we have a problem with AI and data centers in general when we have to do that here in Ohio. If we have to do that here in Ohio, along with the studies that have been asked for in HB 646, and with the petition that we've got to get the signatures for, Stu, we really shouldn't have to get the signatures for something like that if our state is so daggone silly and stupid that we have to write a law to stop humans from marrying AI.
Maybe we have to have a law against stupidity.
That would work, but getting people to sign that to get it on the ballot, we would be lacking many signatures.
I can see Quentin's get that little smirk on his face, the law against stupidity.
Oh, I was just reminding me that my wife doesn't like me to blow my horn at people. And my comment has been, if I don't tell them they're stupid, how will they know?
Exactly.
And that's true.
What this reminds me, I lived in California in the 90s, and the San Francisco Bay Area, just north of San Francisco Bay Area. So I dealt with the growth out of Silicon Valley. It reminds me of that boom bust cycle Silicon Valley went through during the sort of early days, where it was, oh, I have an idea. Here's $10 million so you can go see if you can create something with it. You know, there was no return of equity, really. It was just trying to create the latest, greatest thing. The data center boom right now that's going on reminds me a lot of that. And I'm starting to see some articles where there are some leeriness on funding the data center growth from some of the financial companies. And also, one of the other interesting things, and it reminded me a lot of the savings and loans crisis, where a data center builder, they have to use those GPU processors, the graphics processing unit made by NVIDIA. So they have to buy those chips. And in return, NVIDIA invests in the data center, which enables them to buy more chips, which then NVIDIA, invests more money in data centers. And you've got to wonder when that sort of cycle peters out. It's almost like a pyramid scheme on how some of those things are working.
Yeah, I know, and it's something. Have you guys ever listened to Emma before?
Yes. She pops up in my Facebook feed every once in a while.
Barry, have you ever seen Emma before?
I don't think so.
Being from the South, I'm very familiar with Bless Your Heart.
Was that the lady you keep running the little short videos on?
Well, I do. And then I had another one that I found was done with artificial intelligence. And I saw that one today and I thought, okay, maybe I could play that on the show. And then I played it a little bit and the wording got a little rough. I'll put it that way. And I found out that AI likes to cuss a lot. And so there was one that I was going to do, and I might be able to do that. Hang on just a second. Let's see if I can pull this one off. If I can. Yeah, here it is. I think you can see this one. This is called Makeup. Can you see that on the screen?
No,
I don't see it.
You don't see it.
What in the world are you doing?
Kicking you out, you sorry bastard. I hope you live a miserable life.
So now you want me to stay?
Now you want me to stay. Oh, it gets worse. And I can only show so much or I get in trouble, And I have to go through all of these things and listen to all of them. And some of them are really funny, but then they put some really good Zoomers in there.
Oh,
was-
that reminds me of that lemon pound cake, that police officer who asked if he was an SOB, and he replied his mom was dead. He couldn't ask her that question.
Jeez. Oh man. Wow. I'll tell you what, guys. We always have a good conversation when we're on here. Anything coming up in Trenton, Barry, that we need to know about?
Tomorrow night we're having a council meeting, which is probably going to be interesting. We have a lady from Save Ohio Parks coming. We've got some folks coming up from Hamilton. We've got people inside the city that have finally figured out that they had a fire lit somewhere they couldn't find before. So I'm sure that City Hall is going to be exciting tomorrow night. And then over the course of the next couple of weeks, I've got to reach out to a community called St. Clair and a community called Madison, because we're realizing Trenton's wanting to annex some land from both of those places for land that's already for sale on Jobs Ohio and Ready Cincinnati, to where they can land grab it to try to get more data centers within the city of Trenton.
Anything going on in Wilmington, Quentin?
Well, they had that planning commission meeting last week, so there were some more updates requested on the site plan from the planning commission. That's going to be monitored really closely to make sure they don't try to sneak something by the citizens on that. There's a lot of research going on behind the scenes to make sure that the city dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. I think they actually may have done it around the other way. But just checking the process to make sure they followed the process that was supposed to be followed when they updated the zoning codes that allow data centers.
Well, they always have to follow the law, and if they don't, it's up to us to point it out to them that they messed up.
Right.
And that's basically what we have to do here in Pickwood too, and Sydney and other places.
Oh,
anyhow, guys.
That reminds me, one more thing. There's a referendum the petition is being routed around for review. It was dropped off at the Board of Elections for them to confirm whether or not enough signatures had been collected to have a referendum on the other data center that's planned for Wilmington. And this is to revert the zoning back to what it was originally.
And real quick before we go off, the petition that we're trying to get for the statewide ban goes before the Board of Elections tomorrow at 1:00 in Columbus.
Good news to know. Hey guys, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody that's listening got a lot more information, despite some of the little snafus we've had here on April 1st. So with that, guys, have a good week. We'll see everybody next week with My World on Wednesday at 8 p.m. But
thank you, Stu.
On Sunday, we're going to do.
Good night, everyone.
On Sunday, we're going to do Money and Change. So stay tuned for that and learn something a little bit about money. See ya. Have a good week.
Bye.